On this episode of Bryan the Guys, it's the X-Men 97 finale part 2. To me, my Brymen, it is time for BP and the Finch to give you our latest thoughts and theories on X-Men 97. Part 2 episode dropped today, and we're going to get right to it. But first,
Previously on X-Men, done as Wolverine.
so what? Oh man, what happened on that last episode? Briefly, Finch. I mean, it was nuts.
Well, Bastion released a bunch of Sentinel Primes and who were humans, and they couldn't stop him basically. And then Magneto escaped in his underwear, went to the North Pole, and EMP'd the entire world. So
That's what happened.
Magneto was right. Magneto was right.
Magneto was right. That is a lesson that we tried to teach last week. Magneto was right. So let's freaking go.
Let's freaking go.
So in the opening credits, Storm was there in her new costume. First thing I noticed.
Yeah, I recorded that twice. Like I rewinded it. I was like, yeah. I had to record it.
Because you pointed out for last week that Storm was not in those credits. And you were waiting for Storm to be in the credits. But she was definitely
for her to come back
in those credits. Storm's opening credits scene just always looks so good. From the long hair to the mohawk, now the black costume. She is looking good. And, as you know, she is my favorite female superhero. She's just so badass. Nightcrawler has officially replaced Gambit. I think that's pretty clear. It's pretty given. Nightcrawler is a new guy, and he's my favorite X-Men, so I'm happy to have him. But I am very sad that Gambit's gone, because Gambit is one of my top 5 X-Men.
Oh, yeah, same. He's in the top 5.
Yeah, well, we'll get into the consequences of Gambit's death, but did you notice some clips in that opening credits once again for maybe the 6th time?
Yeah, it's Nimrod. Nimrod again coming out of the.
I didn't see Nimrod again in this one.
Wait, was he not there?
I didn't see it in this one.
Okay, well, yeah. Sorry, my bad. It was Cable and Apocalypse again.
Cable and Apocalypse again. Yep.
Phoenix again. And I think the Morph it's Sinister is. I think that one's just part of the opening credits. Like,
you think?
Because it's been since the first episode, so it's not like, because you remember in like the episodes 1 through 3, 1 through 4, it was like certain different clips. You had Rogue kissing Gambit, you had you had Storm with the lightsaber, and stuff like that. So, but I think the one part of the scene is like it's Morph's thing, but then it goes into that whole thing. But I mean, he was a big character. That was a big. We'll get into it, but yeah.
Well, it's my next note. So I watched this episode twice today. Today was really busy at work, but I delayed some things and try to get it done on my breaks because I wanted to watch this episode twice. So I watched it once recreationally, and then I watched it and paused it every 5 seconds, took a note, pause it, took a note, because I want to be more than ready. So I still think Morph is a sleeper agent. They've showed that clip a lot, and they've changed other clips, but that clip has remained consistent, and it hasn't been in every episode.
I feel like it has, bro. Go back to the first one.
I will, because I have no life. This is my life. But I really think Morph is a sleeper agent. And
but you're talking, okay, just to reiterate, you're talking about the part when it's like when the music changes, it goes na 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 na,
Yeah,
and then like it's morph, and then you see all the light up eyes,
all the
and he's like
smoke around
shooting.
him,
He's
and
shooting,
then
right?
Morph is scared.
That's I swear that that's in the opening of every episode.
I don't know,
But
man.
we'll
Like,
we'll we'll
had
look into
something
it,
happened
and
in this
by next
episode,
week by next week
we'll know for
I'll be
sure.
like, you were wrong.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and you can tell me I'm wrong, but something didn't happen in this episode, which if it did happen, then we would have known for sure. But at near the end,
okay, okay.
if Gold Team would have had more time, then we would have known for sure. But it didn't have. I don't know. I still think that there's something up Sinister sleeve. I still think that there's some because this dude, in my opinion, my number one villain in Marvel Universe was Doctor Doom,
Doctor Doom. Yes.
and then Magneto,
Magneto. That's a
and
very close
Sinister was
second.
number
Yeah.
three,
Really?
and Sinister
I think
is.
I like Galactus more than Sinister. That's just me.
I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you.
No,
But
I just like giant monster people things, you know? So,
hey, size matters. Size matters. So, but 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 Sinister is like a Palpatine, and he's
we just had Star
always
Wars Day, so yes, yes.
absolutely
Do it. Do
do
it.
it. Do it. Have I ever told you of the tragedy of Mister Sinister?
Uh, oh, there you go.
I think there's something still going on. I really do. So that's just my opinion. I think Morph is a sleeper agent, and that's my opinion. So going into this episode, the episode starts, and you see in my notes, so we can follow because I don't want to take over all the talking. I want it to be a partnership, being a fish.
Baby in the fridge.
So how's this start? How's this wake up? Or how? Yeah, who wakes up? How's this start?
There you go. We get Mr. Baldy and Mr. Clean waking up in the mansion. You know, he can't walk anymore. He's not wearing the suit, so he takes his legs out.
But ain't
Um,
nobody dope as him. He's just so fresh
fresh
and
so
clean,
clean.
so fresh and so clean. Sorry, good.
Wow. So Charles wakes up, the mansion's in ruins, giant holes everywhere. Then it cuts to Magneto, who's like raising a ship or whatever. No, or not yet.
I thought
Um,
I thought the ships. I didn't know if he was raising them or if the ships were just in the ocean by chance, and he just
mm,
went to a part of the ocean that had those ships.
I think it was
Maybe
like
he did raise those ships.
it looked like he was raising like a submarine or something, you know. Oh no, never mind that. Okay, so he's staring at his helmet first, right?
Yes, yes,
And I believe in episode 2 when Rogue shows up in the X Mansion in the room where he was at, he was kind of staring at the helmet the same way, you know, just like
yes.
contemplating
You're
like
totally right.
this is who I am, you know. So he's staring at the helmet, battle ready. Then we cut again, we get Bastion carrying his mom walking through the zombies in Pittsburgh or Harmony, PA.
Yep.
He's crying also.
Yes.
So it goes to show that he's still human to an extent, even though he's like Sentinel.
I didn't put that in
Um,
my notes, but that is very important to add. You're totally right. They
yeah,
does still have some human in them
yeah,
somewhere.
yeah. And then we get basically an opening shot almost of Jubilee and Sunspot running in an alley, and then they get saved by they're running from a mob, and they get saved by Storm and Forge
Forge.
on the
Yes.
roof.
And the mob's like, the hospitals have no power. You're gonna have no power. And just like chase them down, and we get this pretty sweet shot, and it's totally from the opening credits. You're totally right. I
Yeah,
didn't even think of that part of the fence in between, and then we get this little bit of rain in just this one spot, and then Storm and Forge up on the building above and just coming down. And Forge is in that classic costume, like
yeah.
in the action figure. I remember my friend PJ had it. Shout out to Pat Rowe, North Carolina,
Right.
wherever you may be.
Uh,
But had that awesome Forge figure and it looking great, looking so fresh and so clean, and and Storm looking so good too.
in that black suit. Yep.
Oh, looking so good.
Mother, that's Mother right there. You know that whole internet thing is like Pedro Pascal's daddy.
No.
Nah, geez, come on, man.
Yeah,
So I don't know. It's an internet thing. Everybody's like, "Oh, Pedro Pascal, he's daddy," and then I'm saying Storm, she's mom, she's mother, mommy,
she's your mommy.
she's mommy.
Okay. Yeah, if you want Pedro to be your daddy, yeah, sure, or whatever.
I didn't say that.
Hey, no judgment here.
I'm
No
saying
judgment
the
here.
internet says he's daddy,
No judgment.
but not me. I got a dad. Anyway,
Sure. Yeah.
I think I jumped
So who's
around
your
a little
daddy,
bit
Vince?
because Papa Finch, man. Um, but I think I jumped around. So we got
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Jubilee
yeah.
running with Sunspot, and then so it's like doing this cut back and forth because it's the opening of the episode. So it's doing
Yeah.
these cuts, and we got Charles. He gets out of the bed, moves his legs over. He goes. He looks at his yellow chair. It's all beat up and
It
damaged
is
or whatever.
actually impaled with rubble. Like it is, it
Yeah.
is not there, but well, I'll make a smart ass comment a little bit about it, but good. Well,
Okay.
later in the episode, but good.
Okay. So then Magneto puts on his helmet. We cut to Magneto again. Puts on his helmet, and he's did we say spoilers? Because we're just running through the episode, but
I think
spoilers.
people
Sorry.
are safe to assume this is spoilers,
This is a review.
but
Yes.
yeah, this is
Episode
spoilers.
rundown
Thoughts
review.
and theories. Here we go. Spoilers. Did you
So
see?
Magneto puts on his helmet, and then when I thought he was raising the boat, he's actually raising the asteroid.
Yeah,
Sorry.
he's like creating an asteroid.
Well, I think when back in, X-Men 92, the asteroid fell down to Earth.
Dude,
Um,
you're right.
and I
You're
think he
right.
was raising it from
The ocean.
from the ocean, yeah.
Dude, you're right. I didn't
Or
even.
maybe he like steered it down when it was like falling,
I thought he was building a new one, but you might be right, dude. Yeah,
I think he
I
was
think
like
you're right.
rebuilding it basically. So,
And
and
then
then
rain
and
falls
then
in the
yeah, we get
valley,
the
which I jumped ahead.
Storm and Forge saving. So, yeah. So, go ahead, take over. Sorry.
No, man, you're cool. As I was writing my notes, I created a nickname for Jubilee and Sunspot.
What is it?
So stupid. Jubes and pubes.
Wow. Wow.
Because he's probably just guy's pubes. You know, Sunspot. You know, if they get alone, he'll find her G spot. Whatever.
Wow. They're like barely 18. What are you, Drake?
No, no, I was putting a little ditty in there. A little ditty about Jack and Diane. Jubilee, Jubilee, and
Jack and Diane.
Roberto. All right. Oh man, I'm stupid. Okay, I didn't get my mind out of the gutter or out of the
Sorry, now
attic.
that song's in my head. Now that song's in my head.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Two American kids doing best they can. Roberto's gonna be a football star. Jubilee wants him to stay in the backseat of her car. Oh yeah, life goes on. Storm and Forge are there.
Saving the day.
Yeah. Anyway,
It didn't rhyme, but yeah.
it didn't work. Anyway, yeah, Storm and Forge. Storm is wearing that classic 80s costume from her debut. Storm Forge has a metal leg, blah blah blah. Professor X opens the door and he's in his old wheelchair. And then I want you to take back over. But so I'm seeing a theme in this episode. Storm is
Retro, baby.
exactly, but Storm is now in her original costume from the comics. And now Professor X in this old wheelchair and the blanket over his legs is in his original look in the comics. I see a
Mhm.
theme coming.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
Bastion's with his mom, and you see some things there.
Well, and then Magneto returns to his costume,
Yes, yeah,
which I
yeah.
mean, I don't
Good
know if
point.
it's the original because there's like some mods, but I mean, he's
It's
not in that giant M leather, you know,
yeah,
that
right.
dominatrix. He's not in that one
The
anymore. He
evening gown,
returns
as
back
I
to
called it.
yeah, he
Yes,
returns back to his original costume. So
yes.
yeah, so going back to that. All right, so moving on, we get Bastion. He's putting his mom to bed. and he says, "Finally quiet as we look at the master." Oh, so yeah, he's talking to his mom. He's got like a tear in his eye or whatever, and then he like rubs her cheek, and then they zoom up, and it's the picture of the giant master mold painting that he did as a child. So the one that Gene was looking at last week.
Yeah, I noticed some things in that painting, like in the front of it, it looked like an angel, or maybe angel and a demon, like in the very front and center. So the master mold's head's there, and then all these things are in the sky. All these people are in the sky, but then like front and center at the bottom, it looks like there's an angel and possibly Nightcrawler, or it's like it's they're very mixed together and it's blurry, so you can't really tell. But it almost looks like Angel, Nightcrawler, and Beast, like kind of
Hmm.
right in the front and center, which is interesting because Angel wasn't there,
Yeah,
so very
and
interesting.
Beast wasn't there either.
Beast wasn't
So,
there either, right?
or
Um,
at least on Genosha. But I
yeah, the
believe
Genosha.
didn't they say something about like the painting was actually the X Mansion, right? It was them in like in front of the X Mansion. No.
Possibly, yes. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, but master mold. And then he says it's finally quiet because, and you got me thinking, he's saying that because all machines are turned off. So he can't
Mm.
hear those voices anymore. He can't, he's disconnected now. And that's why it's finally quiet. So,
Oh, okay. That's a good catch, man. That's a good catch.
hey,
I didn't think that. Like, I'm
catch
just
of the
like,
day. But that's why, yeah, that's why it's quiet.
you know.
Interesting. So, and then
Then we
Jubilee
get
hugs
the
Storm in the
Jubilee
alley.
hugging Storm in the alley. Yeah.
Like, thank God you're here. And
Well, I
then
mean, I think
we,
she won. I think she made a look on her face where she was like super surprised to see Storm come down with her powers. So I think she
yes,
was like surprised about that. So, and
eh,
then moving on, we go back to the mansion, and I'll let you take over this one.
yeah. Um, I thought that I loved this scene. I loved it.
Yeah, it was deep.
Yes, and it shows like what I've loved about this season so far is that it's getting every character right. Every character is done justice and right, and not too much, not too little. I mean, some episodes were rushed, as we talked about before, like the whole
Yeah.
Goblin Queen and Madeline thing. But I really like this. So we cut to a scene of Cyclops, Professor X, and Jean. And Jean says, because she is like, this is great. Like, I love this. Jean says, the world's about to end in 12 hours, so you two better make this fast.
Right.
Basically, you boys need to talk, but you better make it quick.
Kiss
And
and
then
make
she,
up. Let's go.
yeah, and then she pulls out the the wrap it up box from the Chappelle show and just hits it.
Wrap it
Wrap
up,
it up.
B.
Wrap it up, B. We're about to end. Wrap it up. And Cyclops calls Professor X out and asks him what he expected giving Magneto the school. Like, you didn't give it to me. You gave it to Magneto. Like, what the heck did you expect would happen, Professor? Like, this is all Professor X's fault, pretty much. Pretty much.
I mean, it's not all, but yeah. I mean, I see where Scott, in his anger, throws the blame on Charles, but also at the same time, I guess it's like, yeah. I mean, I don't blame Charles, but then again, trying to be peaceful with humanity, that's there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
But
but
but as we've been reiterating, Magneto was right, so
Magneto was
Charles was
so
wrong.
right.
So, um,
But Cyclops calls him out on that. Why didn't you give the keys of the kingdom to me, man? Like, why? Why didn't you? And Jean was right.
well, Charles, he says that he did it because he wanted Scott to be able to leave and raise a family with his girl, and which brings up a point though. He said something about along the lines of he wanted them to move and have a life with Nathan, right? Their son.
Yeah.
So, one, did he know she was pregnant? And two, Did he know if she was Madeline or Jean?
Exactly,
And I mean,
bro.
he's the smartest man.
Exactly.
He's one of the smartest guys on the planet. I feel like he would have known, but maybe he I mean, he does keep a lot of secrets. So I feel like maybe he was like, it's not my place and I can't sense Jean anywhere, you know? So maybe he was like,
Okay, I'm glad
everybody's
you brought up
happy.
those
We're
things.
cool. So
The thing about Professor X that a lot of people forget, and I think will come up in the next season of the show, is how many secrets Professor X keeps. Like so many. I mean, one of the key points of The Last Stand, which everybody thinks is a garbage movie, but there are key components of that are really good. And one of those key things is how Professor X keeps secrets, and basically he puts up safeguards to protect others, but he doesn't tell people that he's doing it. You know, he just does
yeah.
it because he thinks it's the betterment of everybody. And there's a lot of what if scenarios, like, you know, what if he didn't, you know, calm down her powers, you know, but that's a talk for when we get to the X-Men movies. But the main thing here is, you know, did he know that that was Madeline, that it wasn't Jean? I'm going to say yes. And the reason I'm going to say yes is because he has had telepathic connections with Jean.
Yeah.
So he knows her levels, he knows her brain lengths. I'm going to say that there was a time he knew, but I bet you that she was already pregnant, and or he found out before, like maybe around the time that he got hurt or
Mhm.
something else, and like he second guessed himself if he was reading things right. I'm not sure, but he would have known that when she was pregnant for sure, because he would have sensed another like brain activity. As soon as the baby had brain activity, he would have known. But
Yeah, but that
Madeline,
doesn't happen until, he was already off planet.
what do I know about kids? I don't know. I don't know.
No, I'm just I mean, hey, that's a whole nother topic of,
Um.
you know, that's
Oh yeah,
politics. I
because
don't wanna get into
he
that,
would.
but
Yeah. I'm so sorry. He might have known when Madeline got switched, but he might have like questioned it. But yeah, he didn't know when the baby was there. You're right. He was already gone. You're so right. I'm so sorry. You're right. Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
hey, this is why we have this discussion because I'm curious.
No,
So,
she got knocked up when he was already gone.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. He was already gone. So yeah, you're right. So
Unless he's in the it's like in the other episode where he's like, "My children, they were drinking wine, dancing, making love." Maybe he senses when they're making love. So he was in the one room and they're down in the danger room getting it on before he got shot, you know? He's like, "Oh, she just got pregnant." I sensed it.
oh my man,
Oh my.
now, oh my gosh, like is he peeking into minds like during a danger room
You
time?
never know.
My gosh, what a old perv.
He's probably helping guys out. Not yet. Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet. Not yet. Roberto, pull out. Pull out.
Roberto again. Again. Jubilee. She just turned 18, man.
Hey, kids be stupid. Kids be stupid. Oh my gosh.
Sorry. Off topic.
Yeah, what were we talking about? Yeah.
X-Men 97.
Yeah, Professor X is perp. Okay, so very importantly, he said Madeline was right in her prediction that they, to start a family, and maybe that is what Charles wanted, and that's why he didn't choose Scott. And Madeline was right. Charles says he wanted to spare them the weight of loyalty to him. He says that they were his first students. They always did what he asked. They always were his loyal students, but they needed to be free. And Cyclops asked what freedom would have got them. He still would send his son to the future. He still would be pulled in these fights with Bastion and Magneto. And no matter what, he always ends up here. Don't you know that, Professor, that I'll always end up here? And Charles said that it was his fear from when he first met Scott, that Cyclops would build a world where mutants could live. However, they wish he would never let him. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was right on sentence in my notes. Um,
No,
he
you're
said
on the right track.
he says that his fear with Scott was that he would build that world where mutants and humans could live together, but he would never allow himself to enjoy it. He would never let
Yeah,
himself have a life. He would never let himself, be a father. He would always feel that the X-Men were his first responsibility, and his loyalty to Xavier was the first responsibility. That
which is
whatever,
true
which is so true. And um
until now, because now he has a son, and that's his first responsibility.
absolutely.
Although he neglects him, but you know, we'll get into
Right.
that, I guess.
But also here, Xavier is saying how they mirror each other, because Xavier could have had a life with the Shi'ar Empire. He could have knocked her up, and had whatever,
Little bird
with
babies.
bird people. Yeah, yeah. That comment I like. We'll get there. That someone makes a comment about that, but yeah. So he knew that they both can't move on, but he wanted better for Scott, so that's why he gave it to Magneto. My questions here also are, you know, that it all was a mistake to give to Magneto, because here they are. Charles is back in the saddle, or in the wheelchair, and and where the heck's that tech that helps him stand?
I know he can't just wear the pants.
Yeah, like
you know,
where the
like,
hell is it?
like
Like, why
it's
would you
probably.
leave the Shi'ar Empire and not take the technology that helps you freaking stand?
I feel like he was probably still wearing it when he landed. No,
I thought so. He was in some weird armor.
yeah, I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows? Who writes this stuff?
I mean, I've always wondered. The question is like, if he's so powerful, why can't he like use his mind to help him walk? But then somebody asked that to somebody else, I think, and they were like, "Well, he's not. What is it? Telekinetic, where you can move stuff. He's a
Well,
telepath."
there's all these side questions, and I was texting you throughout the day, like like there's all these side questions I have to certain things. The first question,
Hey, you know what? The one you asked me, it was the first one I woke up to,
yeah,
and somebody else had asked somebody else that, and it was like there was just like no comment because it's like OP, like because story,
because of
because of
comics,
plot.
that's what it really
Yeah.
is. Because
So
like when things don't make sense in comics and stuff, like the thing you just need to say is because of comics. Like it's just that, it's just the way it is. The first thing is, why hasn't Forge built him some type of thing that just helps him walk? Like, it's as simple as
that's
that.
a very good question. That's it. Yeah,
And
he put himself in a mechanical leg, and Rhodey can walk. I mean, if we
yeah,
end up connecting to the MCU, where's the Stark Tech to help him walk, bro?
yep.
Maybe he just likes sitting though. He's like, hey, I ain't gotta do shit. Like, let me just sit down and roll around and float around.
And then
This
he
is
gets
my
his, he
this
gets
is
his
my everybody else gets their new retro costumes. This is my costume, a chair. So
but then
that's his look.
like so he gets his exercise by 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 they were making love and drinking wine. That's how he gets his exercise.
His peeping
his,
exercise.
his, his right hands are really strong.
He got that Quagmire arm from Family Guy when he
That's what
gets
he
the
needs a
internet.
blanket for. He's gotta cover it up. Oh. Lord Almighty. Okay. Anyway. Oh gosh. Okay. Yeah. So Nightcrawler and Rogue. There you go, buddy. Go do that.
All right, so
That type of stuff.
Rogue wakes up. Rogue wakes up. Nightcrawler's sitting in the chair in the same room across from her. First thing she says is, "Where's Remy?" And then like Nightcrawler has to talk to his sister and inform her that he did not make it. And then we jump to, I mean, I think they say some other stuff, but basically that's the big one. She misses Remy. Then
Yeah.
Storm arrives back at the mansion and she walks in. She's like, "I was gone for 5 minutes. What the hell happened here?" the mansion's the
Exactly.
mansion's got a giant hole in the ground. Then Jean flies over to her, and I think it's a little bit later in the episode, so we're gonna jump around a little bit. But there's a line. I mean, I don't know if it's in
My
your
notes
notes or
my
not.
notes are second by second.
Okay. So is it
Unfortunately.
the okay, whatever. We'll get there. So yeah, so they talk and they hug each other. They're super happy. And I guess this is the first time. I mean, Storm doesn't know about Madeline, right? So this is the first time Jean has seen Storm in a
Oh,
long time.
dude, yeah, she doesn't know. She doesn't know about Madeline. She doesn't know that they sent the baby in the future. She doesn't know any of that stuff. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Oh
So
my gosh.
everything's,
Yeah.
and then the
Yeah.
professor's back. So like Storm leaves for 5 minutes. The professor's back. Their baby is gone in the future, and now he's a full grown man hanging around here. She probably finds out, oh, that Gene that you were living with for the last year or two, that wasn't me. That was my evil clone. Well, not evil, but that was my clone. So, she's like, in all that span, got her powers back, got a new costume. There's sentinels all over the world. Like, damn, Storm missed everything, man. So yeah, so then Forge, we know that Forge has like cybernetic parts basically from being in the war and things like that. And Beast is like, "Hey, Forge, nice to meet you or see you again. Long time no see." And he's surprised at Forge's leg that he knows is cybernetic, and he's like, after the EMP Magneto did, how is it still functioning? And Forge like taps on his leg, and there's like he says he has some kind of electromagnetic shield implanted in there, and it has like a jetpack on it or like a rocket boot
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something.
He was flying in that
So
alley. Yeah.
yeah,
Looks
so
sweet.
and then basically she starts. Well, then I guess they all meet up and they start talking, and then Professor X says they're all going to relocate because the X Mansion is in shambles.
Yeah.
They're all going to relocate to Muir Island, the Muir Island base. Storm says she can feel the Earth's magnetic field dying, and then like Logan, of course, chink, Magneto's gotta die. So,
Absolutely.
yeah,
So
yeah,
one thing I noticed, and because I was watching on a laptop, so that's probably why I noticed a little bit better because the screen's closer. But swear to you, in earlier episodes of the show, and like '92, that when he wasn't wearing the blue and yellow, that he did have the holsters on his hand. I swear he did.
I do feel like at times the animation was inconsistent, and yes, just like at same other times, his claws look like this almost like when they come out, they're like super curved,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
at other times they come out and they're like straight.
And
And I mean,
sometimes
and that's the inconsistency of
you're right, because and sometimes in the 92, the claws looked like real thin, like string cheese thin, and then some
yeah,
they looked like really thick.
yeah,
So like whiskey dick of the claw sometimes, and then like
yeah. That's the yeah.
yeah.
Sometimes they look long, sometimes they look really like short and stubby. Yeah. So
But in this moment, the claws definitely come out like kind of between the knuckles, like the X Men movies at
yeah,
this time. But I swear that he had those animated sheaths
yeah. No, I mean,
on his body, not on the
yeah. I
glove.
feel like sometimes they would come out like right here, but in this one, I think they came out like straight from the movie, like the movies, which we know why because they had
Yeah,
to.
we know why.
Yeah.
Um, so Professor says, we don't want to kill Magneto. I can talk to him, but if anybody should be punished, it should be me. Professor Xavier is feeling the weight of this whole situation and the mistakes he's made pretty heavy. So like he's weighing it's weighing down on him. And then Cyclops takes over and be the leader that he is and says we're going to split into two teams. We're going to split into blue team led by Rogan Cyclops to stop Magneto. Then we got a gold team led by Storm and Jean to shut down Bastion. This is straight out of the comics. So around this time, they do split into two teams. There's a blue team and a gold team and the X-Men. And
Wasn't it Uncanny X-Men and like regular X-Men comic or something like that? The
yes,
reason they like split them or something? Yeah.
I believe so, sir.
And did you notice in that shot too, like when Cyclops just like takes charge, Professor X just kind of gives him this look.
Yes. Like,
Yeah.
that's my boy. That's the way it's supposed to be. So, another thing to point out is when Chris Claremont, which most of these stories come from Chris Claremont because he wrote the X Men for 15 years. He is one of the greatest writers of all time. And, he is probably the greatest X Men writer of all time. The thing about Claremont is that when his story started, they were on Muir Island, and this new team of X-Men were rescuing the old team of X-Men. And when he ended his run, they ended it on Muir Island. So it starts with the island and it ends with the island. So this episode is kind of showing basically that we're getting to that end saga. Well, it almost feels like, well, we'll say in a second, but it almost feels like they're going backwards in some stories that they're doing things out of order, but it's it's just the way it is. So anyway, so B says it'll take years to remove the Sentinel parts from humans to fully get it out of humans' bodies. But him and Forge thinks that they can at least bring back their humanity. So of these Prime Sentinels, any of these Prime Sentinels, they can be able to kind of at least make them function with some Sentinel abilities and stuff. But give them ability to have control. So, and then Sunspot is in X-Men uniform and says if we help them, they hate us before we help them, and we help them, what then? They're still going to hate us.
Yeah, I mean, he
And
makes a good
Storm
point. Yeah.
says he makes a damn good point. And Storm says what? Go ahead, Fitch.
Storm says we'll handle it like a family, providing once again why the X-Men is the very best team.
Well, proving once again why we're a family.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I was
You know
trying to
this.
do my Storm voice.
No, you're doing great, buddy. But it proves once again why, in my opinion, the X Men are the very best team. They are without a doubt a true family, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, they bicker like a family. They work together like a family. Yeah.
they drink wine and make love, like
They were
uh,
dancing.
yeah, dancing. We forgot about that part. Drinking wine, making love. My wrist
My
hurts.
children of the atom.
My children. Anyway, Beast says he can't find the control center, but Bastion is a control center. And then
Yeah.
Charles reveals some things we didn't know about Bastion. What were those things, Fitch?
Well, Charles reveals that he once learned about Bastion's abilities a long time ago from Cerebro. Cerebro basically pinpointed his location. He goes and talks to her and offers him a place at the school. And Bastion's mother, who we learned from Bo DeMayo back in the episode One Man's Worth, that she's a racist and a bigot against mutants. So when he goes there and says, "Hey, your son's a mutant," she slammed the door in his face, and she was pretty mad. So basically, Storm looks at the photo and says, like, "Oh, he could have been on this picture." So basically, he offered him a spot to join the original team, but his mom told him no. So
And Charles didn't think once to show up at our house in the '90s and take
I
pictures.
know, right?
Like, what the
I
hell,
would,
man?
I mean, let's see, in '97, ugh,
No, not, well, that would have been, well, the first team. It would have to be like late '80s
then yeah,
because
we would have been babies.
yeah, like take me at 4 years old. You know,
We were just sucking on our mama's tit. What does Stryker say? He's like, I was in
I
X2.
was
I
crap.
was killing. I was in Nam killing something while you're just a baby at your mom's at Woodstock sucking on your mom's.
One side stuck on your moment. Exactly.
Sorry, from
Uh,
X2. Watch it.
X2, man. There's a lot of focus once again on that portrait of the original team. A lot of focus on that,
And yet,
and
in this season, we haven't seen one of those members.
we haven't. Yeah, well, we haven't seen Angel, and we
Well,
haven't.
Morph
Well,
changed into him, remember?
yeah, I
So
guess
that was
so.
our
But no
cameo.
Iceman. No
Yep, no
Iceman,
Iceman. I have a
which
feeling
pisses me off.
we're gonna get an Iceman cameo next episode from Morph. It's got to be Morph. If it's not Morph, it's the actual Iceman.
I I have some thoughts, which towards the end of the episode, I think something might happen. But Charles still thinks he can reason with Magneto, and Sunspot calls him out on that BS and says, "Well, you thought you could trust him with your school, you know? Like you can't
These
reason with this
kids,
guy.
man, no respect for the
No
elders, man.
respect."
Always back
Yes,
talking.
Robert. But I mean, he ain't lying. Roberto's
He
got a
ain't
point.
lying though. But I mean, okay, like Magneto. See, this is what I like. They're making Magneto. Yes, what he just did in the last episode by causing that EMP, that's bad. But he didn't do nothing. Like since Charles gave him the school, he didn't do anything bad. Like he's been on a straight and narrow. He even turned himself in to to do the trial of Magneto. And then there was an insurrection, and they tried to take his powers and all that crap. And then he was saving people, and then he returned to the school, and then he went to Genosa to try to like be an ambassador and stuff like that. And he didn't do nothing bad until the last episode, and that wasn't even bad because if he hadn't done that, we don't know who would have survived the last episode.
absolutely. Like I feel like this. If this episode was missing anything, it was that they needed to show the effects of that EMP a little bit more. Like we just get the humans yelling that there's no power in hospitals, but they should have cut to some stuff like there's no powers in nuclear. We saw that some nuclear plants shut down, and Omega Red, was in one of them.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, but if we would have seen a plane crash, or
yeah, something
you know, or
exactly.
yeah, I think it would have enforced the argument that like, oh, Magneto needs to be stopped.
Yeah, because so far the argument is Magneto's right, and we're not seeing where he's wrong. We're not seeing why he needs to be stopped. Like we know that the EMP shut things down, but it stopped the Sentinels. We saw the good that it did. We're not seeing the bad of the EMP. We're not seeing these hospitals shut down, planes crash,
Yeah, like at this point,
people dying.
other than them going after Bastion, which makes total sense. Then I mean, other than them going after Magneto to try to get him to reverse what he did, basically, to like basically turn the magnetic field of Earth back on, basically. And then maybe it's the way they went about it. I mean, but I guess we'll get into it a little bit more when Magneto shows up right here soon.
Yeah, sure.
So let's
Um,
run through this episode because we're
yeah, yeah.
so, sorry.
So Storm, Forge, and Beast are like working R&D, which I think is really cool. So I hope Forge becomes a permanent member of the team on the show. I
Yeah.
think Forge is very underrated. So I like him working with Beast and like building things and figuring out stuff. I like them. Storm doesn't like them using neutralizer tech to give an
I did like
impact.
how she walked up there though to them. They're like two genius like intellect people, and she's like,
Yeah.
"Impress me." It's like,
Yes. Like it was nice. Then we cut to Rogue, and Rogue seems to be wearing her original costume when her debut in Avengers Annual number 10 in 1981. Everybody is slowly kind of going back to these 80s costumes or 80s and 70s costumes little by little. And Rogue is now in her original costume with the green with the white trim. That's her original costume. And Rogue said to Charles,
but she's also wearing something else though.
she's wearing the jacket still.
Well, Remy's jacket, right?
Well,
That's what people have been
I was
saying. They've been saying it's Gambit's jacket, but it was her jacket, no?
I couldn't. Well, his jacket's long. I didn't. This didn't look like a trench coat. It looked like
I
her
mean, but
jacket.
she, I don't know why she hand. Maybe it was her jacket. Maybe it had an X on it somewhere because when she ends up taking it off and handing it to Professor X. So I don't
It
know.
could have been Remy's jacket. It could have been. But Rogue says to Charles, if you saw us as people and not students, maybe Remy would still be alive. In my
Oh,
opinion,
that's yeah. That's because he was saying that he should
oh
have been
yeah.
buried at the school and
Yeah,
not
he should have
in
been buried at school.
IU.
Yeah. I wish that she would have said, you know, if you saw us as people and not soldiers. That's what I wish she would have said. Because the
But I
big
feel like
argument,
he doesn't. I feel like he doesn't look at. I mean, he looks at them as like, yes, they are his soldiers, but you've been saying it. They're a family, right? And
yeah,
he looks at them like his kids or as his students, like as like a teacher who teaches your students and stays with them for a long time. A Mr. Feeney type, who grows up and you know.
sure.
So, but yeah, no, if she would have said that, that would have probably hit a little bit harder.
Yeah, like because the main argument with Professor X is almost the same argument as Batman with his Robins and Batgirl is that like here's this dude like saying this for the betterment of his kids and helps them deal with stuff, but they're basically training soldiers, and Professor X is pretty much training soldiers. He might call them
Yeah,
students. He can call them students. He can call them whatever he wants, but they're soldiers for
but I
his
mean,
agenda.
is it really for his agenda or is it actually just to help these kids learn how to control their abilities so that they can be better, you know?
But once they go out and stop Magneto or Juggernaut stuff, they're soldiers.
What is it Ted Lasso says, it's not win or lose, it's helping these kids become better or teaching these men to become better.
True, true. But
Maybe that's maybe that's maybe Ted Lasso is Professor X.
football's life.
Football is life, but it is
Dancing,
also death.
dancing, making love, drinking wine is life.
Playing football.
Playing football is life.
Sorry, I just finished Ted Lasso, folks. So yes,
Yeah,
took me
isn't it
years, but
wonderful? Isn't it
it's a
wonderful?
great show.
At this moment, Ted Lasso comes from the sky. Yeah, at this moment, Magneto comes from the sky. I got literal chills, and and he says to Charles a whole bunch of stuff, but some key things he says is what does he say, Fitch? It's the most savage line that Magneto said. Well, his second most savage line. He says a more savage line later, but
What does it say?
he,
When you left us for your Shi'ar bird queen.
he left us for Big Bird, you know. Oh my gosh! And then he says a whole bunch of stuff. He goes on a
Yeah,
whole tirade.
he says,
Uh,
when you ask
Break
me
it
to
down,
walk your
man.
path, are you prepared to walk mine? And then Magneto says, you want me to undo what I've done, but will the humans undo Genosha? And then Xavier tries to reason with him. And Magneto says, I promised a boy a future free of fear, only to watch his frightened eyes be vaporized inside of his tiny skull because he believed in me, in the dream you had me sell. Which he's talking about Leech, if anybody didn't know from episode 5. Then he goes to the X-Men and says, how many more of your bones will pave the way for Xavier's future, where we simper like beggars for intolerance? Your professor's dreams are dead, so I offer you a new one. A home to replace what they stole from us. A new Genosha. We have gotten here by walking this man's path. We are left with two choices: cling to this dying world, or rise to a future and look down upon the falling pigsty planet. Charles says, but we are not gods. Magneto says, gods abandon those who believe in them. Mutants do not. Decide, my X-Men. Yeah.
He says to them, "My X-Men,"
Right in front of Charles.
right in front of
Bam.
Charles.
Slap in the face.
Savage. But he says one more thing savage later. My apologies. Three savage things.
Yes, yes. Yes. Magneto on that petty shit.
Oh, love it.
It's a Kendrick and Drake battle right now with Magneto and Charles.
Super hot fire. Magneto. Magneto. I spit hot fire. There are 5 villains.
Lava.
There are 5 villains
Magneto, Magneto,
in the
Magneto, Magneto,
Magneto.
Magneto.
Magneto. Because I spit hot fire.
Nylon, Nylon. Did
Then
you see that did you see that he got mad about that? Like I saw
yes,
it like on
you said
TikTok
it
or
to me.
something. Did I? Oh, okay.
He's like, I
Yeah.
couldn't get a job doing nothing after that because Chappelle ended my career.
Before it even began.
Whatever began. I was spitting hot fire. Then he swallowed it. He put it out.
Chappelle, man. Whew.
Chappelle is no Dylan. Anyway, so important thing happens. Rogue leaves the X-Men and she puts her old jacket, and I'm fairly sure it's just her bomber jacket. I don't think it's Gambit's jacket, but he
Yeah, I
puts
think
her
you're
old.
right because it wasn't long.
Yeah, it didn't seem long. She puts her old jacket on Xavier's chair, and she said that she made a choice to lead the mutants to a new age, and she's going to stand by that decision. And Storm says to her, "Good,
Don't
finish it.
turn your back on family.
You were gone, gal. None of you were there."
Yeah. Damn, Rogue gets petty
Rogue
in
gets
this
so
part.
paid, but she's
Uh,
right. You were gone, gal. None of you were there. Who dies next, Professor? Jean? Been there, done that. Who knows where Bishop is exactly?
right,
Like,
right.
where the heck is he? You know, you said last week maybe he's stuck in the time stream. You know, whatever. Where the hell is Bishop?
I know.
And I have a prediction of that, which we'll get near the end with our predictions for the third.
I did hear that Bo DeMeo tweeted and said there won't be any more time jumping in this finale, and Bishop ain't coming back for the rest of the season. So
Really? Well,
that's
there
what I
goes
heard.
my prediction of him showing up with Hope
Oh, that would. Oh, I
because
like
they
that.
showed Hope.
I mean, but hey, but I heard that was something Bo DeMeo tweeted or something like that. So, he's been very active during these. He does like live watch or like live stream. I don't know if it's a live stream, but he like tweets and like does like a watch party type of thing, like where he'll like interact with people during Twitter during the airing of the episode.
Does he have a shirt on?
I don't know. Yeah, all of his Twitter, his profile pic, he's shirtless, so I don't know.
All he needs to do is put a shirt on, and I'm telling you, he'll get
Hey, he's pretty jacked, dude. Maybe he's auditioning. Maybe he's getting ripped so he can just jump into acting now.
have him play Bishop.
That would be great.
No, no, he's skinnier. Have him play Forge.
But when you want somebody of Native American descent to play
Oh yeah,
Forge,
duh. Sorry, my gosh. Sorry, my apologies.
yeah, we
Yeah,
don't, we don't need all that race swapping stuff. No, I'm just kidding. Or what is
yeah,
it? Whitewashing
yeah.
Hollywood or
Just
whatever.
have a red hair guy play Bishop, and then have Bo play Forge.
Right? The ginger
Exactly,
swap.
exactly. Oh my god.
Okay, back
Yeah.
to
So she
Rogue
says
and her pettiness,
she says she says that Morph has barely been on the team 30 minutes before they turn him to the wolves.
which
And
is so funny
oh my gosh.
because he died. What he quote unquote died in like the second episode, right?
Yep.
So he was literally on the team for like 30 minutes,
I don't even think he's
and
been
then
on
he
the. I don't
died.
even think Morph has just Morph has been on the screen for 30 minutes in the whole entire history of the show.
Well, I think if you combine everything, because he had that arc where he kidnapped, he lied to the whole team and made Jubilee go to the Friends of Humanity, and so in that arc he got a little bit of time to shine, but he was just in the background snickering. Right?
But her wording proves that Morph is indeed non-binary. She does say them, so we got that out of the way. We know for sure. Um,
Yeah.
and she says she doesn't want to see any more mutants die. And Roberto Clemente, uh, he leaves too.
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. Roberto leaves too because his family turned him in. His mom betrayed him, them throw a collar on him. So he says, "There's nothing left for me." And Jubilee says, "What about me?" And he says, "Jubes and pubes are done."
He
Like
said, "What
we're
about you, bitch?" No, I was kidding.
exactly. And then as he flies away, she's like, "Call me, call." So Scott walks in and at the Mirror Island base, and Cable and him have a moment. And I'll let you tell us what is said, man, and what happens. Go ahead.
Oh, well, they're talking. He's like, "Yeah, I'd rather be on the beach with you and Jean." And then he's like, "Well, she's not my mom." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, da 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 da." And then he says, like, he's like, "Well, you know what, son?" And he puts his hand on his shoulder. He's like, "What? Be careful." And he's like, "No, give him hell." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, I almost forgot." And he gives him a suit. He throws him a suit. And we've seen this in trailers and stuff leading up to this episode. He gives him a suit and he goes, "What is this? Am I going to war? Or am I going to a circus?" And then Scott says, "What would you expect? Black leather?"
Which is a
Which
play on.
is a play from 24 years ago, the original X-Men film. Bryan Singer gave us the line, "You guys actually go outside in these?"
and
And then
and Wolverine says, or
no,
Cyclops says to
Scott.
Wolverine, "What do you expect? Yellow spandex, something like
Yeah,
that." Love it.
yeah.
Um,
So
Also behind there, we see in glass cases the original X-Men suits. So we see a Wolverine. It's not his original suit. His original suit was yellow and blue in Incredible Hulk 181. But we see the brown and orange, or the brown and yellow. I'd say it's brown and orange more so. And then we see the classic Marvel girl suit. We see the classic Cyclops suit, and we see all these classic suits in the glass back there. So
we see a classic storm suit, which is a bit weird too, because it's like
she's
she
wearing
was wearing
it.
a
Right.
white suit for a long time, but she was already wearing a black that like formed on her through like magic or powers. Like, so it's a bit weird, but okay. It's like
Thank you for
maybe
pointing it
she
out.
took it off just to put it on display so she can put it on later, like when everybody else is suiting up. I don't know.
Then we see a scene of Senator Kelly basically not trusting Xavier as they're talking telepathically. Like he doesn't trust him. Like he kind of faked his death, and here they are. So that happens, and then the X-Men suit up to the classic suits, and you get chills, literal freaking chills. And I love that Cyclops suit. I love it.
Yeah,
I
with that headpiece, I love it.
I love it. I love that suit. I might like it better than the '90s with the hair showing and and the suit before. I might like this one better.
Is this one the same one that where he's wearing a trench coat? Because I like that one. Where he
Well,
wears
the
the
trench
I
coat
think
was
he has a
the Sonic
silver
the X Men
visor.
one.
I like that one because he has like the silver visor and then like the brown trench coat with like the big boots. Like I like that one.
He wears that in Wolverine the X Men more so.
That's the one I like.
But yeah, that one ain't bad. I like this suit a lot, and it's basically like the characters are looking straight out of X Men the arcade game, or if you remember the pilot of the '80s called Pride of the X Men.
Oh yeah, that's where yeah, okay, that's like where Magneto was like just like a crazy dude, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it was right around this when this story was coming out. It was like the late '80s. I used to have it on VHS, and on that team in Pride of the X Men was Cyclops, Nightcrawler, Wolverine, Colossus, Dazzler, and Kitty Pryde. Kitty Pryde was the highlight of the show. So it makes me wonder if we're going to get Kitty Pryde. We have yet to see her in anything. If Colossus is going to come back, if we're going to get Dazzler, or you can just have Jubilee kind of basically be the substitute for Dazzler. But it looks straight out of that show. You can YouTube it. Pride the X-Men. I loved it. Anyway, Beast holds the hand of that reporter in the hospital bed as we cut to these different clips. And so he's still sticking with her, even though she was a Prime Sentinel. He's still kind of sticking with her. All new outfits. They look great. You get an X going to give it to you a shot. And
We also get the hangar with like the old vehicles and stuff like that.
yes, yeah, you're right. You're
Yeah,
right. You are right. And then we cut to Bastion, and he's like in a Matrix looking Sentinel hooked up thing, like all hooked up to these Sentinels. And
yeah.
and
He's on the
who's
Galapagos Islands.
yeah, say and so who's the gold team there, Finch?
Gold team is Gene, Forge, Storm, Morph, Beast, and Cable. And their idea is to try to put that collar on him. So, and then so they go down, they go to take down Bastion the Sentinel. Storm says Gene is a phoenix getting stronger. It's not about a dream, our gifts, it's about believing in each other.
And then
Gene says, make them, I love this line though. So Gene says, make their mind your weather, sister. And then Storm says, and them weather your mind. And it just
it's
like as they like
it
touch
was a,
heads,
it
it's
was
a
a
very emotional, but like the line is just like I could see them hyping each other up before they go into battle, saying something like that, like for years, because it just works. And it's like, damn, like that's good. That's a good one. And
yeah.
then Storm with the big tornado, Morph.
Yeah,
We get
this
another
was like
great Morph cameo here.
the best.
Here, I'll let you. This is your dude, so I'll let you
That's what
take
it,
that one.
this was like the best moment of the whole show. Like uh, the Wolverine and Nightcrawler fight was dope. The Wolverine would get right on Gambit was awesome. That opening fight, but this moment had me like losing my mind. The music
Is this
kicks in.
better than the cameo from last week,
Well, the
Spider
Colossus
Man?
cameo.
No, Spider Man from last week.
Yeah, that had me geeking out. That did have me geeking out. I did wet myself a little bit, but this had me have to go take immediate poop at work, and that's something I do not know. I will go home to poop, but I had to poop right here. The music kicks in, and Morph changes into the Incredible Freaking Hulk.
Yeah.
The Incredible Freaking Hulk, dude. Oh gosh, I'm so pumped. And he says, "What does he say, Finch?"
He says, Morph Smash.
Morph smash! And he is jumping in the air. He is effing everything up. Gosh, it was so
Yeah, like
cool. And the
Jean like
music just
turns him.
pumps higher and higher,
Jean's using her like powers to like turn him like a giant either like
like
cannonball or
a
something.
pinball.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's crazy. And then we got Cable blasting sentinels, and Storm is just she's lighting people on fire, electricity, and yeah, man. And then Forge, yeah, and then Forge is flying in the plane and he shoots down two sentinels or makes them hit each other. And then like he gets shot, and then Storm gets shot from behind because she's, looking at whatever happens there. Wait, did I jump ahead? Did I jump ahead, or is this all happens and then they jump to the other? You're muted. You're muted.
I am muted. My apologies. And
Sorry.
Beast picks up a Sentinel arm, like with the by the wire, and just like beats the dude, like totally slaps the Sentinel in the face. It was awesome. And then we get Mr. Sinister
Oh,
showing up.
well, doesn't Sinister run into the room where Bastion is?
That's later.
Oh, okay.
Yep. But
Go ahead.
me,
Sorry.
Gene, Mr. Sinister shows up and starts fighting Gene and having a pretty sweet fight. And he says he can tell her when he switched her. She just has to pretty much submit to him, and he'll tell her everything. He'll reveal everything. And Gene says that Madeline fights with me today, and it doesn't matter. And it
I was
starts.
mad because I wanted him to tell us, man.
Yeah, I want to know. We need to know. I think we will find out. I think we will. I I think the switch happened when when she showed up out of the water as a phoenix. That's what I think. I think it happened during the Phoenix Saga, like kind of near the end of it, the Dark Phoenix Saga. That's what I think. But yeah, so Rogue and Sunspot, they tear open the Blackbird when it arrives on the asteroid, going to Team B or Team Blue here, and Nightcrawler teleports the whole team in front of Magneto, which is a huge Pride of the X-Men vibes. Just the way the team looks.
Yeah,
And
and what
yeah.
Rogue even says, like, I think she says like "damn elf" or "darn elf,"
Yeah. Damn.
thinking about Nightcrawler. I was
Yep.
laughing.
Yep. Team Blue is Professor X, Cyclops, Nightcrawler, Wolverine, and Jubilee. And they're there to take down Magneto. And Magneto just goes after him right away. And Wolverine says, "Oh, good, we're skipping the blabber." And then I'm
Yeah.
like, and then Professor X seems to be in his yellow chair. And did Forge fix it? Like, how the heck did Professor X definitely didn't lift that crap. So, like, how did
Well,
he get?
maybe because they went to Muir Island and they got all those retro vehicles. Maybe he got his other. Maybe he has a backup over there. That's his. That's his old ex's place, right? So she keeps all his stuff.
Yeah,
He
Moira's.
left.
Yeah,
He left his. He left his stuff at his ex's place, and he went back to get it.
it was in a box to the left, to the left.
Right. Right.
Boy, Rogue stops Wolverine, saying that he's Wolverine was like jumping like ready to kill Magneto, and Rogue stops him. Sunspot attacks Jubilee, and Jubilee fires back at him. She
Yeah. He's like, no, sorry, sorry, and she's like, pew, pew, pew. Yeah, pew, 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 pew. Kevin Hart, pew, pew, pew.
and fireworks his face. And then Magneto, I didn't put the whole quote here, but like, what does Magneto say to Charles? Charles is like, be reasonable, whatever. And Magneto says, what does he say, Finch?
He says, he says, Charles, I have 2 words for you. Shut up. As
Oh,
he
I thought
like
he was
puts a
going to
piece
do
of
the
metal
DX
over
cross
his,
chop.
as he puts a piece of metal over his mouth. Yeah.
And then he does a cross chop, says, suck it.
Mm. Dun.
Are you ready? But
You remember getting in trouble in middle school and high school for doing that?
all the
It's
time.
like we just walked around school.
We all did. Every
We
all
did.
of us did.
Everybody did.
Suck it.
I remember there was like an announcement. It was like, if anyone is caught doing that, you'll be written up.
hey,
Yeah.
hey, Mrs. Mata, our principal, suck it.
I would have did it to Mr. Z. Bam.
This is Z. Suck it. I think he became the principal
I think he
eventually.
did, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Anywho, so so then Morph poses as Mr. Sinister to
Yeah.
try to take down Bastion, where you were,
Yeah.
and then
He
what
he
happens
runs
there,
in
man?
he runs into Bastion where Bastion's at, and he goes, Bastion, you have to save we have to get out of here. They're overpowering us. And then he's like, you played your hand, because Sinister would never think about anybody else. It was just like it was just good. It was good. Like he knew that he tricked me. I thought it was Sinister, bro. Until like I don't know. And then you see him like trying to pull out the collar where he's trying to get the collar on Bastion. And then Beast runs in and he snatches up the collar, and then he gets captured by Bastion, and Bastion like forms a hand to grab the collar from Beast. And then we move out to the fight breaking out in the jungle outside or whatever. And
It's a jungle out there.
it's Sinister. It's Sinister and Jean, right? They're fighting.
Yeah, and then well, also Storm gets hit in midair.
Oh yeah, I
She's,
said
she
that
has this
earlier
moment
because I
with
messed
Forge
up.
and stuff. You say that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I messed up. I jumped ahead, but yeah, I got that
Oh, you're
part.
okay. Yeah, but she gets hit,
She
so
gets
she's in
hit.
the ocean somewhere.
Well, Forge gets hit and he's going down. She goes to save him, but then she gets hit by a bunch of Sentinels. And then,
Yeah.
yeah. So then Sinister, he's fighting with Jean, and he goes, oh, and basically Jean gets like a blast, right? And then all of a sudden we see Cable being controlled with the diamond on his head, the red gem, right? And he's like, he is my creation. I know all your DNA or whatever. And then Cable attacks Jean with his powers, and he's like full powered up. And and then
Telekinesis and everything. And even I
yeah,
believe in a little bit of an octic blast. Well, the energy of the blast.
and Jean, she's like, you got to stop this. This isn't you or whatever. Like I'm a powerful whatever.
You're
And
not
then
my
he
real
goes,
mom.
right? He goes, "My mother was a very powerful telepath. And so am I," or something like that. But basically, he's blasting her, and as she's like, it looks like she's taking a lot of damage. All of a sudden, like we like see Scott appear there on the island, right? And she's like talking to, she like reaches out and she calls out to Scott.
No, she's talking to him telepathically. He's on the
Yeah, but
asteroid.
like the way I think she looks over and she can see him and he sees her and it looks like
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
right
you're right.
there.
You're right.
And I
You're
guess
right.
she like projected it to him or he sees it and he's just like, "Gene." And
Jane.
Gene, Gene. Yeah, so he calls out and then it like zooms back and he's on the space station still or the asteroid. And he's, he loses focus like he's, Professor X and basically tells him like, "Oh, you got to, get Magneto's helmet off so I can get into his mind and
Well,
stop him."
like I think we're made to think that Jean is getting killed. That Cable kills her.
See, when I saw that, the way that they like lingered on that shot,
Yeah.
this is a theory, so I'm jumping a little ahead here, but I
Sorry.
feel like the Phoenix Force is gonna have to come out and like help her out. So like the way they lingered on that shot, I was just like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, are we gonna
Yeah.
get?" Because the shot, what the shot kind of made me think of was X2, where she has one hand out like this, and she's like holding back
Exactly.
the
Thank you.
water, and that's
Thank you.
kind of what it
You're
looked like
totally
in
right.
that shot, and that's why I was like, "Are we getting the Phoenix?" I mean, they've been showing it every freaking, you know what I mean? Like in the intro, like this is the part. This is where and if she's already enveloped Madeline's mind and they're both one and the same now, where the Phoenix doesn't have to decide which person to go to or whatnot,
Yeah.
she's coming in, she's taking over, I feel like. So that's a theory for the next episode, but we'll see. Do you want to jump back to the asteroid? Because this
Yeah.
is where it
So
starts to get good.
um yeah, so Wolverine gets the helmet off Magneto. Xavier appears to be attacking Magneto's mind. Now, in the comics, this is like the craziest sin that Xavier has done. In the comics, he warps Magneto's mind after the EMP, and this is what creates Onslaught, which we were big fans of Onslaught, but he warps Magneto's mind so much that he gives him amnesia and puts him in a coma,
Yep.
and
A
Magneto's
vegetative
off the
state.
table. But in this story, by shirtless Bo DeMeo. He he has Cyclops shoot Professor with an optic blast and stops him from taking over Magneto's mind. Big
Wait,
mistake.
wait, did that happen or
Yeah. Yep.
I
Sure
I
does.
feel like I feel like something happened because of that whole thing where Scott was or the professor was like he was like, "Okay, we're ready," because he had control of Magneto's mind, right? And then I think Scott, because of what was happening with Jean, because she was like projecting in his head, I think like he was like blasting Magneto or about to blast Magneto, and then something happened because of that. And he was like, "Hold on, we don't have possession of the gold team hasn't succeeded yet." And then like either he accidentally blasts him or he does blast him.
He shoots him and he takes his power off Magneto and says Gold Team needs more time. After that,
Okay.
he says, "Sorry,
I gotta
Professor,
rewatch
Gold
the
Team needs more
episode.
time."
Yeah.
But he shoots Xavier to stop
Hmm.
him from doing that to Magneto. Which
Hmm.
which even if like it's all like and then saying they need more time. I don't know. I don't know why he said that. I don't know where his thinking was of why they need more time.
Well,
Like you're
because I think Professor X he wasn't trying to like take down Magneto. I think he was just trying to get in his head and basically like either make him reverse the polarity of the Earth or whatever. Because he was saying like, I just need his power. So like basically, I think he was just trying to get in his head
oh
and
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah,
have him
they don't want
do
him to
something.
turn on to fix the earth until Bastion is not a threat, because if Bastion is still a threat, then he'll just turn on the Sentinels again.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
yeah.
right. You're right. So Magneto puts the helmet on Xavier, and seems to almost like be like he's gonna kill Xavier
It looks
almost.
like, yeah, it looks like he's like crushing it a
Yeah, he's
little
gonna
bit or like
crush him.
tightening it.
But our boy Wolverine stabs Magneto through the chest with his claws,
Yeah.
and Magneto finally says, this feud is over.
No, hold on. So the line that Wolverine says is, "I've seen a lot of wars, bub, and the bravest is always the first to die,"
Yeah, you're right.
which is a line that Magneto says all the way back in season 1 when they go after, I believe they go after Master Mold.
Yes, yes, that's a callback to. Yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
it might not be the exact same words, but it's like right along those lines. Yeah.
no, I think you're
But
right.
then yes, Magneto gets stabbed by Wolverine. And what
And
does he
then
say
what
again?
happens, Finch?
Well, what does he say again?
And then he says, "This feud is over."
Yeah. And
And
then you want me to
then,
say what happens?
go ahead.
And then all of a sudden, Wolverine starts lighting up with the magnetic glow, and then we start seeing the adamantium being ripped out of his body, and then it's like a freeze frame, and it just ends. The episode just ends. Fatal Attraction, baby.
Fatal Attraction. Oh my gosh, he finally did it. He finally did it. They did it.
And I
Um,
think I messaged you, and I was like, dude, like I knew it was coming because everything leading up to
yeah.
it, you know what I mean? Everything, like that's the way the story's going. But the fact that they did it, like that, I was surprised. I knew it was coming, but I didn't expect it to actually come. Like,
Well, in the
yeah,
comic, doesn't Jean hold him together to keep him alive?
I believe so.
And she ain't there, man.
True,
He,
true.
so it's either going to be. So let's get into their final thoughts and questions. Is Rogue ever going to find peace? Is she ever going to be good again? Like, is she like? Is there any hope for Rogue, man?
Yeah, I
Okay,
mean the simple
yeah, that
answer,
works for me.
the simple answer is yes. I mean, I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, she ends
Okay,
up
so there's
happy in
hope
the
for Rogue.
comic, right? Does she have
She's
kids? Does she ever have kids?
I'm not sure. I'm
I mean,
not
how
100
could
percent
she,
sure.
right? Unless it's with Magneto.
Right. And as soon as the yeah, how could she? Because she would have absorbed the baby.
Somebody pointed out, why doesn't Rogue just put on a collar when she wants to be intimate with somebody?
We've brought that up so many times. Absolutely.
Who has? Who has?
Eventually, well, no, we have. We talked about it, didn't we?
Well, actually, yeah, I
Like
believe
in one of our first episodes.
when we first
Yeah.
learned about it in this season, when we first learned about Rogue and Magneto, eventually he does, like, she learns to control her powers, right? To where she can touch people.
I think so.
Yeah.
Or she loses her powers. But I think in the comics, Gambit, he he finds a way with his kinetic energy to basically be able to touch her. I forget how it
Basically
works out.
be able to give her that kinetic D.
That's right. The the Roberto, the the sunspot.
He'll hit the sunspot.
So next question: will Gambit be cloned and brought back? Will Gambit come back somehow? You're muted.
I know that's a storyline. I believe that happens after E is for Extinction, right? Where a lot of mutant, like I think they end up getting like eternal technology or something, and they're able to like just clone a bunch of mutants and bring them back, right? And give them all their memories and stuff.
Oh, I didn't read
Isn't
that
that a
story. I didn't know
storyline in
that.
the comics?
It might be. I didn't read that
Um, I think that's what
because I
happens.
suck.
I think it's a like a three-way war, right? It's like Avengers versus Eternals versus X-Men or something like that. And it's a comic where on Genosha they have like this facility to just clone and bring back people anytime they die and stuff like that. So if they want to pull from that, yeah, I think he's coming back. I've heard some other theories that I think could happen. Are we just saying openly?
Yep. Let's get
Because
the
we
book.
keep seeing it in the opening credits, keep seeing Mr. Apocalypse.
Yes.
Um, People speculating he might come back as Death, the Four Horsemen.
Oh. Oh.
He's been a horseman of Apocalypse, right? I think there is a
Yeah,
storyline. And
possibly,
Wolverine was one too, I think, right?
possibly, possibly. I'm trying to remember all of them, but yeah, I
Well,
think Gable
Wolverine
was.
Wolverine was one, and I guess he got his. That's how he gets his adamantium back.
Phew, so much stuff to remember. Possibly. Okay, well that leads into my next question. Is Wolverine dead?
No, he's got a healing factor. He
Is Jean
and
dead?
I think what happens with his healing factor is it like amplifies, right? Because the adamantium's not there. So it gets even stronger and he's able to like super heal and yeah. So
Oh, I think so. But someone has to hold him together. Are Storm dead? Is Jean dead?
Storm is not dead. She just got shot by a sentinel. So, we've learned she's an Omega mutant and
Yeah.
she ain't dead, bro.
No, she
She
just came
didn't get
back
to
for
she didn't
Oscar.
get to tell him the forecast this episode. So
Boom. Yeah.
and then Jean is not dead. Although, like Rogue says, been there, done that. So I don't think she's dead. I think my theory of the Phoenix Force coming back, but I'll eat my words if it's not the Phoenix Force. But that shot, I'm telling you, man, when she's holding it out, like that, I was like, dude, that's
It's
excellent.
very X-Men too, for real.
How
Will
about you, man?
Jim
What about you? What are your thoughts and opinions on that?
I think I don't think Storm's dead. She just came back. Jean is going Phoenix Works. No question in my mind. I'm totally with you on that. I think they're not going to kill Wolverine. He's too dang
Nah,
popular,
I,
and
I mean, we
Deadpool
have to
Wolverine.
learn. We have to discover that he has the bone claws.
Yeah, I
So,
that's something else that well, I'm gonna get that in a second. Is Kevin Feige taking notes for the MCU to do the X-Men live action? I hope he is. Is James Gunn taking notes?
oh,
Because um I mean we'll probably when part 3 comes out, we'll try to do a part about the Crisis movies, and we'll try to.
well, I've only seen the first one, so
Let me just say this, okay? They suck. Like 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 when watching a comic book movie is a chore, it's not fun. And the first one was a chore. And
it
I
had some
hate
cool stuff.
yeah, it's a little bit, but this next one, it's kind of like how the first movie was. Like it gets better like the last half hour. Like the last half hour is like decent. And in this one, the last half hour is okay. But this Tomorrowverse, it sucks. Like all
Well,
these
it's
movies have
over.
sucked.
Like, James Gunn already announced that they're doing,
I know. I
so
know.
I think once that announcement came out, same with everything else with the DCEU, I think they had to just kind of like rush everything and just be like, all right, let's wrap all this up. Wrap it up, B. Wrap it up.
Wrap it up,
DC,
B.
wrap it up. We're
Uh,
starting new. Wrap it up. So yeah. But is
it's
James Gunn
just.
taking notes? I hope he is.
I hope he is.
At least for animated stuff. But I mean live action too, but live action, some stuff that comes across in animation doesn't always go across in live action.
That's fair.
So,
That's fair. Um,
and Feige, I think Feige has a hand in this already. Like, I mean,
sure does. Yeah.
he, I just, I don't know. We've said it a bunch of times. Bo DeMayo is a fan of X Men and knows his stuff, and they need to bring him back, dude. They brought James Gunn back. Why can't they bring?
This guy, he knows what he's doing, man. I would give him the keys of the kingdom. I would give him keys of
I
his
mean,
kingdom
I
and a
don't I don't know
church.
if like this is one project, but I would let him come back to X Men and just keep working X Men. Keep churning out X Men '97. I want to see X Men '97 continue on for the next like 10 years, man.
Sure, I
You
think it
know,
will.
and continue to go forward, like advance with the advancement of time. And include like this is all taking place in '97, right? Include 2001, include the 9/11 2001. Start including certain presidential things, or whatever
Do House
to
of M.
change.
With the
Yeah,
House of
I
M
mean, you've
story.
got a lot of storylines, but you can
Yeah.
also start to pull from the real world and, like, put
Mhm.
historic real world events into it.
And yeah,
You know what I mean?
beautiful.
Eventually we'll get to 2020 COVID being a pandemic, and
The mutants caused it. The mutants caused
it
it.
was all the mutants. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I
dude.
mean, I just, let him go another, like, 10 years and have the series progress. I think that would be cool.
Should he be in charge of like Spider-Man 98 or something?
If he's a fan of that stuff, then yes. Like I said, I believe he is a fan of X-Men
For sure.
and
Yeah.
the comics and the series. And it's like I'm not saying you have to be a diehard fan in order to only work on these projects. Like, look how it happened with like certain movies that get made, and it's like, oh, I'm a fan of this, and then they try to be too comic book accurate or too accurate to the source material, and then it kind of sucks because it's like boring, or it's like they don't add their own interpretation. But he's doing a great job with X-Men 97, and I think if he is a fan of Spider-Man, then yeah, give him, allow him to come back and work on that. And if he's like, well, I'm more of a fan of X-Men, then allow him to come back and continue working on X-Men and get somebody who is a fan of the original, Spider-Man comics. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we've got some great stuff already, Spider-Man. I don't know if we need the Spider-Man. Like, we do. Like, we need the Spider-Man show to come back and answer a lot of questions, but
Hmm.
I don't know. Because I mean, like, we're getting so much other Spider-Man stuff. Like, I'm okay with the other
It's a
Spider-Man
little
stuff.
oversaturated with Spider-Man. It's a little too much
Yeah.
Spider-Man. We're getting
But,
this freshman year
I
story that
think
yeah.
yeah. I think you've mentioned it that, like, X-Men 97 is doing a lot of world building, especially with all these cameos. And I think you kind of like iterate to like the little cameos that we got from like General Ross. We got the Hulk this week. We got Spider-Man. We got Captain America. You know what I mean? Like, and we already know other characters like Doctor Strange and people exist in this. And then we got the Watcher, things like that. So, and we got nods to like Karmatot. Like, I think they're just world building to where they can either connect it to the live action stuff, or they're world building to where they can be like, we have these heroes and we can get an X-Men versus Avengers,
I
or
want more of this animated universe. I want to be separate. I want to be its
yeah, no, I'm okay with that too. And but what I'm saying is I think they could build up and have like a shared cinematic cartoon universe. Like they kind of already do. Because if this is canon to X-Men 92, which is canon to the Spider-Man series, right?
which is also canon to
Which is canon
Fantastic
to
Four show.
Iron Man and the Fantastic Four show, right?
Hmm.
And I guess because Iron Man and Hulk were canon to each other, I think.
Hmm.
So then I guess the Hulk series would have been canon too. I
Hmm.
think the only one that's may not be canon would be like that original Avengers show and the original Silver Surfer one, I think. But maybe the Silver Surfer one is canon. I don't know.
Oh no, moving on.
Sorry, I know I
So it's a,
babbled.
that's- so I think they should at least give us the answers to those Spider-Man questions we need. So I'm just going to end on that. Predictions for this next episode in the future. Finch, go.
All right, I'll try to be quick about this one. I
All
think
right, buddy. I love
Gene
you.
is going to go Phoenix Force, hopefully. I think obviously Wolverine's not dead and he's going to come back and somehow he's going to his healing factor is going to kick in. Maybe Professor X will hold him together or something kind of, and then we'll get like feral Wolverine. I think they're going to somehow stop Bastion cuz that's the storyline of this season. I do think the season's going to end in a cliffhanger and we're either going to get Apocalypse showing up with a horseman, maybe Gambit, or maybe some other horseman, and or maybe the Avengers will show up and be like, "We got to stop Magneto because you guys won't do it," or something, and then we're gonna get a fight or something. So I don't know. I'm just excited. So
Good to hear. I think Wolverine's going to be Bone Claws now, just for a little time.
Yep.
I think that Cyclops is going to face consequences for stopping Charles from stopping Magneto. I think there's going to be major consequences for Cyclops. I think Jean is going to go and turn the Phoenix. I think that I put in here the return of Bishop and Hope, but I guess that's not going to happen. Uh,
Hey,
I said,
it could happen. I'm just saying that's something I heard. I didn't read a tweet, but that's something I heard somebody said that he said. So,
it might.
and there's always stuff that's on the internet that like I can't find, but it's like it was said or it was noted somewhere. I just I couldn't find it.
Yeah, I think Iceman's going to come, and I think Angel's going to come, and I'm really hoping Colossus is going to come because it seems like they're building that team that Chris Claremont created and put together. He's kind of bringing that team, that second Genesis team, because we have Nightcrawler, we have Wolverine, that suit. Could we be getting Psylocke in the future? Possibly. I think Angel might come back as Archangel, and I'm thinking that iconic X Men #1, iconic X Men #1 cover and that team where we had Jean, we had Storm, we had Archangel, Beast, Colossus. Well, Rogue kind of left the team, but we had Cyclops, we had Gambit. Gambit's kind of gone now. But we had Iceman and we had Wolverine there, and I think we could be getting a mixture of that team. My hope is that Iceman and Angel come back. If you want to pull off Colossus, sure, whatever, and bring with Shadow Cat, I'm cool with that. Season 3, whatever. But I think that they've focused so much on that to see Iceman and Angel. I think that the Phoenix is going to show up, and I think the cliffhanger will be Apocalypse, or I really do. And I think the Apocalypse is going to come back and say like, okay, the Phoenix is back, and that's a problem. I think Apocalypse might come as a friend, and maybe I don't know. I think Apocalypse is going to show up. I think the Phoenix is going to show up. That's what I think, and I think we're going to wet our pants.
And we're gonna get some kind of onslaught tease, right?
They need to do Onslaught. They really need to do
It's
Onslaught.
coming. And
It has
they got to do something. But if they do onslaught, then they have to introduce the Avengers like coming in. And
which they
so
already have.
yeah, yeah.
Yep. So that's our thoughts and theories, and as we anticipate the final episode, the final countdown. I have been Brian Peters.
And I have been the Finch.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. For when you need comics info, don't cry. Just listen to Brian the Guys.